Capcom vs SNK 2, probably one of my all-time favourite fighting games, and it's released on pretty much every single format, so there's no excuse for not playing it. Distinctly remember waiting in the pouring rain outside my local video game shop just to get my grubby little mitts on this when it was first released, way back in 2001. Now then, if you don't know who Capcom or SNK are, where have you been? They are the prominent 2D fighting game specialists before the Sammies and the Midways started jumping into the equation. Some will probably still say that these guys are still the top of the league, so to speak, when it comes to 2D fighting games. Anyway, the original Capcom vs SNK was primarily designed for the Dreamcast, hence it only had 4 face buttons, and a lot of Capcom fans complained that basically their Capcom characters were nerfed because they were used to using 6 buttons, so Capcom rectified that matter by adding 2 extra face buttons, so it now controls more like a Street Fighter game as opposed to a regular SNK beat 'em up. Capcom have also increased the amount of characters in this game. Now there are now 48 characters in this game. The character balancing is actually very well done, although it's safe to say that Capcom have favoured themselves slightly a bit more in the power stakes, because all the top tier characters are Capcom characters, and some SNK characters have been gimped quite significantly, i.e. King and Rao, but that's actually not a problem because the actual character balancing is good, so you know, it's okay for a character or two to get hit in the bollocks, so to speak, when it comes to power. Also, Capcom have actually included a new fighting system called the Groove system. Basically, name any sort of fighting system from any Capcom or SNK game, or popular Capcom or SNK game in the past, and essentially it'll be there for you to select. Each of the sides have got 3 default grooves. C, A, P for Capcom, and S, N, and K grooves for SNK. But if you're not happy with any of these grooves, you can go into groove edit mode and make up your own grooves of your own choosing, I suppose. Although it does limit you at the start, but if you complete all survival mode, you get unlimited groove points, which allow you to make the ultimate groove. Although, be warned, you will actually be banned from using such grooves in tournament play. Although that's actually not going to matter to most people. One other thing I'd like to point out is the amount of gameplay modes you've got in this game. You've got 1-on-1, 3-on-3, ratio match, which was the system that they used in the old Capcom vs SNK. There's also survival modes, versus modes, practice modes. You can record your fights between your friends and stuff. It's just fantastic. Also, the gameplay is very solid. It's typical Capcom. Very well put together. There's no huge gaping flaws in the actual fighting system at all, and the actual controls are very well thought out. Although if you want to perform some of the SNK character moves, so to speak, then you're going to need a fighting stick, because seriously, if you're going to do that with a joypad, it's going to hurt your thumbs. Your thumbs are going to be raw. Also, the sound, the graphics, and the overall presentation of the game is just wonderful. While sticking to heavily drawn 2D graphics, they have implemented some 3D graphical prowess in the background, although it's nothing too overly impressive, but it does suit the game. It's subtle and it doesn't kind of ruin the background. The music's definitely a lot better than some of the other earlier Capcom games. Cough. Marvel vs Capcom 2, cough. But as I say, Capcom did take some time in the actual presentation of this game. They also added a lot of little nice touches, like for example, if you select an SNK groove, then your character portrait will be drawn by SNK. If you select the Capcom one, it'll be selected by Capcom. Also, when certain characters meet each other in the ring, during the beginning of the fight, before they actually start fighting, they have their own little sort of intros. A lot of cross-promotional sort of intros, like for example, if Ken Masters and Terry Bogard fight each other at the beginning of the round, Ken will see Terry Bogard's hat on the floor. You pick it up and lob it towards Terry Bogard, and you'll say thanks, which is actually quite funny to see, really. Overall, you can tell Capcom spent a lot of time and effort making this game. There are only some small gripes I have about it. I would have liked to have seen some slightly more obscure Capcom and SNK characters, like their mascots, for example. Why isn't Captain Commando or Neo and Geo in this game? You know, just tiny little things like that. But overall, this is probably the best game that you're going to see with these two companies coming together. It's certainly a lot better than SNK vs Capcom Chaos, which SNK felt, ooh, our characters weren't represented properly, and they completely gimped the Capcom characters, but the actual entire gameplay system was actually broken on that game. The hit detection was just terrible. But on Capcom vs SNK 2, Capcom actually took the time and the effort to make the game, and it's just wonderful. If you call yourself a fighting game fan, doesn't matter if you're opposed to 2D games or not, this really should be in your collection because it's a wonderful game, and I consider it to be one of the best fighting games ever made. Anyway, I'm going to give this game 9 out of 10. You can pick this game up pretty cheaply now here in the UK. If you could probably find it in some used bin somewhere for a tenner or less. I picked this game up a couple of years ago again because lent my old disc to a friend, which actually got scratched to buggery, and I managed to pick it up for 10 quid new at Game. So, you know, there's no real excuse for not owning this game. So go and check it out today.